Thank you for the invitation. So, more than a decade of aviation finance, sustainability is probably one of the most pivotal transformations that we are seeing in this area. And when we talk about this area, we are problem solving because there is a real need for financing the SAF premium, for financing the, how many was it? 300 plus 362 A321 NEOs. How do we get there? And what opportunities are there out there for us to support airlines, to support AirAsia, to be the innovative and exciting airline that it is, to be a front runner in this industry? So, green and sustainable finance. We'll break it down into two main categories. Easy. Green loans and green bonds. Sustainability-linked loans and sustainability-linked bonds. In our industry, we also have a separate financing model for leases, right? Sale and leasebacks. So take that as one of the financing options. But the key thing to take away is green and sustainability linked. So in the industry, you would have heard things about green bonds, right? What are these products? This is one of the first airport bonds in the APAC region, which focuses on purpose, right? So when we're in this industry, we know, okay, we've got to install solar panels, we've got to electrify our vehicles, right? And so green financing instruments are purpose-based. And that is what the green bond here was used to do. It's a little bit small, but you see there's a solar plant on site. There's a LED system, so efficient lighting systems. There's use of electric vehicles. And there's a bridge mounted for equipment. And these are things that you can see when you look into the sustainability reports of all of the APAC airlines now. So when was this launched? 2021 to 2022. Why do I say there's a pivotal change? So when we talk about green and sustainability linked financing in 2018, can I ask you to participate in a show of hands? 2018, how many deals do you think were closed in green and sustainability linked financing for aviation? More than 5 or less than 5? So more than 5, can you show your hands if you think more than 5? Well, everyone's very, oh, thank you. We have a great participant. Okay, so not that many people think more than 5, right? Less than 5. There's no third option. No. Only 2. Yeah. You're right? So only 2 deals publicly announced in 2018. 2022, how many deals do you think there were? More than 5 or less than 5? Let's go less than 5. Okay, a couple. More than 5. Still people sitting on the fence. Okay, great. The answer is 9. Not that many, but it is more than 4 times. So something's changed between 2021 and 2022. Here we look at one of the most recent deals, 2023. Sustainability-linked financing, right? So this is where you start seeing terms like SPTs, Sustainability Performance Targets, on fleet renewal and SAF use, okay? So this is not a purpose-based product. It is based on transformation, having new milestones, meeting targets, KPIs. I put this slide in here because as financial instruments become sophisticated, we lose sight of the basic principles. Green loans by industry, look at this. Most of it is based in the energy sector. A lot of it is used to support energy transition, building new plants, financing new technologies that Christoph was mentioning. Sustainability-linked loans by industry. You now see that there are more options, right? It's sort of a more flexible product. Like you can do revolving credit loans, you can do general corporate purpose loans, right? Because why? The underpinning of that product is KPIs, key performance indicators, and sustainability performance targets. This is one of the main industry standards in this area, the Green Loan Principles, APLMA, LMA standards, Loan Market Association. And you'll see that it's use of proceeds as the main goal. There will be a process for project evaluation, right? You have to agree with your lenders, the management of proceeds, and how you report and remain accountable to that. And now, sustainability-linked loan principles, again, by the same industry group, but focusing on KPIs, SPTs. Now we know what that means. Key performance indicators, sustainability performance targets, and I'll move a little bit into that later. Loan characteristics. You can do RCFs, revolvers, general corporate purpose again. And the key thing to remember is selection of KPIs and SPTs is an evolving topic. Your KPIs need to be relevant to your sector. So each sector technically has its own industry metrics on what's relevant and material. It needs to be core to the borrower's main business. And it needs to be measurable and quantifiable. Because we are now in an era where greenwashing risk is a real risk that businesses face. And how do we manage that? We manage that with benchmarking against industry standards. So the KPIs must additionally be capable of being benchmarked. Question time. Green financing and sustainability-linked financing. Which is more likely to be subject to greenwashing criticism? Green financing. Any show of hands? Thank you both. Sustainability-linked financing. Thank you. So, the general industry perspective is that green financing is more susceptible to criticism because sustainability-linked financing in this sector has more industry alignment on benchmarking. You have annual reporting requirements. You have third-party audits. And this is why, okay? So let's delve more into sustainability-linked financing. The sustainability performance targets need to be relevant and ambitious throughout the life of the loan. So what does that mean? Business as usual is not going to work. You have to move beyond required regulatory targets. And benchmarks need to be both internal, external, and by way of industry standards. Why do we need to move beyond required regulatory targets? Is it not enough to remain compliant? The reasons are because sustainability-linked financing is meant to improve access to financing, and also there's typically a margin ratchet, meaning if you do not meet targets, margin goes up. If you meet targets, you enjoy a lower margin, and sometimes there's a neutral ground. It's neither very good nor very bad. So, with this in mind, the banks have come together to form two main industry working groups. The first being the Climate Aligned Finance Working Group. It's inspired by the Poseidon Principles, which has been used in ship financing, mostly relating to disclosures by the financiers and asking for disclosures from the borrowers on carbon intensity metrics. So what is that? It's CO2 emissions divided by RPK, which is revenue passenger kilometer. Okay, one metric. Why? Why only one metric? I'll tell you later. The second one is impact for sustainable aviation. It's a grouping of banks, lessors, investors, thought leaders. And they have a key goal for decoupling. That's their language for if passenger capacity, air traffic goes up, they do not want, the main incentive or the main target is passenger traffic goes up, but CO2 emissions should go down. It shouldn't be an upward trend for both metrics. And that, I think, is impactful, as the name says, but also difficult and more technically sophisticated to implement. How it works is this. So we have RPK and CO2, right? Business as usual is RPK increases, CO2 increases. So you find yourself in the top right quadrant. Where we want to get to is bottom right quadrant. RPK, air traffic increases, but CO2 emissions goes down. So then it leads to the scoring metrics. What's your score, right? And because we have performance targets that get reviewed annually, you not only have to be good, you have to keep your score improving year on year. So that's the main basis. Okay, so these are the 9 transactions we talked about earlier. It's a, and do you see here, SLL, sustainability linked. Most of them are sustainability linked in 2022, which is the latest numbers that we have, right? And what are the sustainability performance targets that are common these days? Munching mentioned earlier, fleet renewal targets, SAF usage, and multiple emissions intensity targets. So we mentioned CO2 per RPK, right? There are a few competing matrices. Industry is debating amongst themselves, what it should be, but it's an area of development, continuous development, right? And if you look at what it was before, so 2018 numbers, the 2 deals that was mentioned, ANA green bonds, Slovenia SID green bond. Do you see how many more green bonds there are? And how we've moved on to sustainability linked? Yeah. So which are the airlines involved, right? Let's see. Air France has obviously been a active player here. JAL, we mentioned them as well. Again, another Air France deal on May 2022. Cathay Pacific, probably the only non-Japanese player that has been featured in publicly reported deals. So in the APAC region, we are still developing in this area. A lot of the financiers who finance these deals are looking into Asia, but because the regulatory environment is still evolving, it's difficult to assess and to develop the KPIs and SPTs that are relevant for us in this area. Yeah, but that is our challenge, and that is our work that we need to collaborate, innovate, and come together to solve. And that's why it's really great that AirAsia is holding this to allow us to have an opportunity to co-create, because accountability for our shared future and responsibility as almost like a public service, right, to the region is what we as professionals in aviation are committed to and have been delivering to the society. Yeah, in the way that AirAsia has done it, to make flying accessible has been phenomenal, and it's just such an amazing crew to be with. So thank you, and I hope that SAF premiums and A321neos will find solutions in sustainability linked or green financing.